Angela here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to another Sunday chat. We on the streets. I actually just finished wrapping up my Sunday morning run. I do 3 miles on Sunday mornings. As you know, I'm on this new 4-week workout plan. I used to do 2 runs a week, so Wednesday, Sunday, but now I just do the 1. I'm actually walking. I have about a little over a quarter of a mile to walk home. I typically do 1.5 miles and then immediately turn around, but I ran about 2 miles that way, so I reached 3 miles a little sooner than I typically would. I could have just ran it out, but actually no, it's the goal is 3 miles, so I'm gonna walk the rest of the way. And I figured I'd film or start filming at least Sunday chat as I'm walking home. This week we're going to talk about dating, but specifically men that I absolutely will not date, right? And I'm saying this because somebody tried to talk to me on my run, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about for Sunday chat. I hadn't filmed it until now because, you know, it gets busy, so I have to get it in where I fit it in. So I was gonna film it after my run, but I still hadn't come up with what I wanted to talk about. Like, I was like on TikTok all this morning trying to like find something that interests me to talk about, and then this police officer tried to talk to me this morning on my run, and I said, that's going to be the Sunday chat. Bitch. First of all, you're supposed to be on the street. It is illegal to ride a bike on the sidewalk in Chicago. You need to be in the bike lane on the street. And then you don't even say excuse me with your corn muffin head ass. Add him to the list. But we'll start with police officers. Police officers and men that are in the Army, any like U.S. military branch, it's gonna be a no for me, right? And you know, individually they can be good people, but they are a part of a system that I can't get behind. And as much as they think they're different, they are indoctrinated in a way that sometimes they don't even notice, and it could be very dangerous. And I'm not into it. Police officers, anybody in the military branch, have been in the military branch. Is it branch? Is that what it's called? You know, gonna be a no for me. Now, especially active. I'm not going to say have ever been a part of the military. If you're like long removed from the military, you have a different career, maybe. But like, especially not somebody that's active or like newly, you know, out of the military or anything like that. It's not gonna work for me. You know what's even scarier about those types of men is that they don't recognize like the things that give people pause about people that specifically work in those 2 fields. Like, they don't recognize it, but like as soon as you bring it to their attention, they exhibit the exact behavior that you're like, it's this like entitlement, like I should be able to have what I want, get away with anything, I could do what I want type thought process and behavior that I feel like they're indoctrinated in, and like everybody else can see it but they can't. That's indoctrination, babes. That's indoctrination, babes. So definitely no like police officers, military guys. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen. The next type of man is a ignorant man, and I'm not talking about somebody that's unintelligent, like not real well read, not cultured. I'm talking about socially ignorant and unwilling to unlearn things that are now deemed harmful, even if they weren't when you were growing up. It was a part of the culture. It's like what you say. Like, I was having a conversation with someone, and she was talking to me about how she was dating a dude, and he kept saying pause, no homo, and she was like, you can't say that. And he was like, that's a part of, you know, the slang that we say where I'm from or whatever. And she was like, it's also it comes from a homophobic like lens, and it makes me uncomfortable when you say that. And he's like, well, you know, I've been saying it, I'm not gonna say it. I'm like, see, stuff like that I can't get down with. I can't stand no ignorant man. I can't stand a man that's unwilling to address his social biases and stuff. I'm not saying you can't have them, because we all grew up with some sort of like ignorant social biases that we have to try and unlearn. Me too, like I'm no different. But a man that is unwilling to do so because that's how he's always done it, I can't stand no ignorant ass man. I can't. Another type of man would be a like self-proclaimed conservative man, even if he just considers himself conservative fiscally, because that's what you hear specifically with black men who I date. They'll be like, you know, I'm not a conservative, but I understand conservatives fiscally, and I just red flag. Like, because for me, I understand being fiscally conservative, like in your personal life with like your personal finance, but fiscally conservative as a politic, as it relates to like governing money for the whole of American society, is very, very harmful to poor and low income people. So even if you come to me and you say, well, I am, pretty liberal and everything else, but conservative, fiscal wise, I'm very conservative. For me, that is still a red flag. For me, that still means that I don't care about poor and low income people. All I care about is like my own like well-being as it relates to like finances and stuff like that. And so for me, that's a huge red flag. My mind immediately goes to, you don't care about poor people. And for me, that's an issue. That's a red flag. Another one is men whose complicated relationships are only with women, right? Like, we all have complicated relationships in our lives, whether they're friendships, they're familial relationships, whatever. But men whose complicated relationships are only with the women in their life, their mother, their ex-wives, their the mother of their children, if your conflict is always centered around the women in your life, why would I make myself another one? That is a red flag. You have no conflict with no man in your life. You got an absent daddy. You ain't never been around. Your mama is the only person that took care of you, but you have complicated feelings towards her. You have nothing to say about your father. For me, that's a red flag. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna be nigga. So it's not gonna. You can't explain that away to me. I'm sorry. You can't explain why all of the conflict and all of the ire and every piece of like disagreement or ill feeling that you have is toward the women in your life. That's suspect to me. That's very much a red flag. This is why when I tell the girls on TikTok, when we're talking about dating and stuff, and I'm like, y'all putting these arbitrary like time frames on when somebody got to make you their girlfriend. You give somebody 30 days, you want to be engaged to somebody in a year. There's absolutely no way in my mind that I know someone well enough in a month, in 6 months, in 365 days that lets me know that I'm ready to spend the rest of my life with him. Now, can I commit to somebody in that time frame? I could probably even get engaged to somebody in that time frame. But to meet and marry and have kids and all that type of stuff like that, no. I need to see the depths of you. As a 41-year-old woman that has been in multiple long-term relationships, I know for me, slow and steady wins the race, right? Because some of those little like deep down, the things that's in the root of a person, they don't come up for a long time. And things like relationship issues, like conflict, like that type of stuff with other people outside of your relationship, that shit don't come up until later. Another one for me is going to be a man that has an unhealthy relationship with a vice or vices. So like, alcohol, cigarettes, food, like a man that has like an unhealthy relationship with something that is or can be unhealthy, like if you consume it and you do it a lot. For me, that shows a lack of self-control, right? Those are unhealthy habits and unhealthy behaviors that can manifest into something bigger, like later on in life, whether it's health issues or financial issues or whatever the case may be. Now, let's say I met someone that is, an alcoholic but hasn't touched alcohol in 20 years. That's different, right? That's different, right? I wouldn't say, oh, he was an alcoholic in his 20s and he now 50, and because he was once an alcoholic or, something like that, that I wouldn't date him. No, I'm not saying that, because for someone to like not drink alcohol for 30 years after being an alcoholic, right? Then that shows a level of like discipline that I'm actually attracted to. So, there are nuances around that, if that makes sense, right? And I'm not perfect. Like, if a man said, I want someone that has self-control as it relates to shopping and their finances, baby, I'm cooked. I am cooked. The next one is men who think that personal style and getting dressed and the way that they dress, what the fuck? I pushed the wrong floor. They don't see the importance in how they get dressed and what they put on their body. And because they don't see the importance, then they shit on me or other people who do. I'm using clothing as an example, but you can like apply that to anything. I can't stand people in general, but especially men who shit on things that other people do that they have no interest in. Like, if you don't like it, like, so what? But very specifically, because I'm a person that finds joy in buying clothes, in just looking at clothes. Like, that's what I like to spend my money on. That's what I like to invest my money in. And I can't stand when a man finds it frivolous and he has to say it, right? And then you can look at him and tell that he don't give a fuck about what he put on his body or anything because he look crazy. I can't stand a man that don't have no sense of style. And I'm not saying you have to have a specific, like, I'm not necessarily attracted to it. Yes, I am. I'm lying. But this is not what this is about. But I'm also just attracted to men who have a great point of view. I think the way that you express yourself through your clothing says a lot about who you are. And I can't stand someone who has nothing to say. I can't stand a man that ain't got nothing to say. And it starts with how you present yourself. And if you don't find that important, I don't find you the type of man that I want to talk to. Okay. And then the last one that we'll touch on today is non-black men, right? We've had this conversation before. I only date black men by choice, by preference, because I want to. And it used to be very specifically Black American men, right? I almost date non-Black American men with the same approach as why I choose to not date non-Black men in general, is that I don't personally want to possibly have to take on the responsibility of correcting behaviors and, internal biases and like all of this type of stuff. Like I said earlier, we all have them, right? And this is not to say that black men aren't anti-black, because I talked about this a little bit on TikTok, and people were in my comments like, well, black men are anti-black too. I get that. I never said they weren't, right? What I said is that relationships are also already, like, they already take a high level of work, right? Not only to get to know people, but to get past the representative that people put forth when, like, you first meet them, right? Interracial dating takes another level of work because you have to make sure that you're not dating what's the girl name? Olandria? No, that's not her. I don't watch reality TV. But what happened with the girl from Love Island and the Dominican guy that she was dating, and he was racist all this time, right? So there's another level of work that you have to do to make sure that you're not dating someone that has internalized racism, you know what I'm saying? Whose family isn't, like, there's just this level of additional work that I'm not interested in doing, outside of the fact that I find non-black men attractive, but not sexually. Like, if I'm being, like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I think they are handsome. I think they look good. I think they have nice bodies. I think they're all that type of stuff. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, when it's time to rumble in the junk, when it's time to hit them sheets, it is what it is, right? But that's not necessarily what it's about. Like, it's about that. But I'm specifically talking about the additional work it takes to make sure that you are in a safe coupling. I'm not interested in doing that. And like I said, I understand that, black men can be anti-black and like all of these types of things. I'm aware. But one, we're not talking about black men. We're talking about why I choose not to date non-black men. And two, we got to choose our heart. Like, in my opinion, I'm like, I have to choose my heart, right? I'd rather have to tell a anti-black black man to get the fuck on, because he got to get the fuck on too. This is not me saying I give black men passes to be anti-black. I don't date no type of man that's like, you're the darkest girl I'll date, or they like light skins, fat phobic men. I don't date no homophobic. I don't do that. I don't give a fuck what color you are. I don't tolerate that. So this is not me giving a black man a pass to be any of those things. I'm just saying I choose my heart, and if I gotta tell a man to get the fuck on for being anti-black, I'd rather be a black man than a non-black man, right? And as it relates to non-black American men, because they are socialized, whether they want a Caribbean from other spaces in the diaspora, they are taught to be very anti-black American, and they know that they are. And sometimes that comes out in their behavior. So I even side-eye them. And like, you know what I'm saying? It take a lot of work for me to date a non-Black American man, but I would, right? I would date a non-Black American man, but I'm also combing through their behaviors and like, really listening to the things they say for not just anti-Blackness, but anti-Black Americanism in general, right? So that's it. That's not it. I could keep going, but we'll leave it there. Those are some men that I wouldn't date based on characteristics, based on thought processes, based on careers. It's real strict over here. It's real strict over here. So when people ask me why I'm single, I know it's me. It's me, and it is, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I just simply refuse to settle for anything that does not feel right to me. And this doesn't mean I'm looking for the perfect person. They do not exist, but I have to feel like this is right. Otherwise, I'm Gucci. I'm good. I'm straight. Anyway, that's going to wrap up today's Sunday chat. Thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All of the links to all of my things is in the description box below. And I will talk to y'all on next Sunday. Bye. I need to take a shower. I'm sweaty. I'm hot. I'm gross. But that was a good run. Y'all have a good Sunday. Bye.